everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we'll jump into the toggling button, which is this one. As you remember, so we leave this one as to the end because there's a bit of work in there. So what we do is here, when you click, you can see here the text it's darker and here is lighter. So basically the one which is selected, it needs to be darker color. If I click here, now yearly is darker and monthly is lighter. So without having the color changes, it can be done easily only with CSS, but to add the color changes, we need to add some jQuery code, okay? Just few lines. So we'll start with the CSS, make this look nice, and then we see how we can change these colors. So what I have done in my code, and you'll find that one in my GitHub in the branch lesson 14 toggle switch, which I'll put in the description section for you as a reference. So what I have done here, I just added a div next to my h1 and I call it a switch holder, and then I have a span here to hold my monthly text. Okay, and then I give it an ID and I call it selected for now, and then I have my label, which is this switch here. All the design for this will go there, and then I have my other span which will have the yearly text. Nice. Now what I will do, I save this one. If I go here, that's how it looks at the moment. It is very ugly. And what I did as well, I wrapped these two inside a div here, and the reason is because I want them to be next to each other. So again, as you may know now, we need to hold them in a div, and that parent div will give it a display flex and some other properties to make them align together. Okay, so let's get into it. I'll start from the top as always I do, so I don't forget anything. And I will say this one I want to display flex, and I want to align them center vertically and horizontally. So text align center and justify content center. Okay, so there they are. Good. Now I'll move to the next level, which is this checkbox. Okay, and you say, okay, why you make this one as a checkbox? And the reason is why I make it as a checkbox. The checkbox by default have a status called checked and unchecked. Okay, and that's how it will help us. That will help us with the semantic HTML, and for people with disability, when they're using screen readers or they're using keyboard navigation, it's easy for them to navigate, and when they're listening to screen readers, it's easy for them to understand what the functionality will be, and also it have default reading for them that the screen readers does, which will help them to navigate through your website. Okay, so what I will do now, I'll come back again here to show you again this one. So I have a little holder called switch holder, and inside I have two labels, the span monthly and yearly, and then I have a label element with class switch, and then input inside. That's a checkbox we have in here, this one here, and then we have a empty span, and that one is mainly for this whole styling here. It will hold all the styling for us. Okay, so this one is for functionality, and this one is for the actual UI styling. Okay, so as I will do, so we can know what I'm doing, I'll inspect this one and keep my HTML open so we know what we are doing. Okay, so we'll start from the switch holder, and I will say switch holder. I want also that one to be display flex because I want the labels and my toggle button to be aligned together, and I say align items center. I want them to be centered together. Okay, see here, they're now centered together. Now I will go to inside my spans, which hold the monthly and yearly. So what I will do, I'll say, okay, I want them to be always uppercase, text transform uppercase, and I want opacity by default to be 0.65. Now I'll do opacity, then font size is a bit bigger, 17 pixels, and the font weight also is bolder, so I'll do font weight 600 pixel, no sorry, 600 is not pixel there, and also there's a bit letter spacing in my text, so I'll say 1.22 pixels. Okay, so they're all here. You see there's some space between all my letters, more than other ones, and also they're capitalized, and you see the opacity is down by default usually, and the one selected is fully opacity, and it is a bolder text. Okay, now the next thing I will do is the one span which is selected, it will be full opacity. So I'll say, okay, the span with class selected, I will be using this class. I add it by myself, and that's the one we use in jQuery to toggle as well. So I'm saying, okay, when my span have selected, then be that color. You see there? So now if I do this, we will not switch a color because we need to add some jQuery. Now let's go to our switch styling. So our switch have a class here which called switch. So what I will do, I'll give it a width and height because everything will be designed by CSS. So width will be 60 pixels, height 34, and I'll keep some margins on the right and the left. Okay, if I save this, that's how it looks for now. Okay, now what I will do is the input, that checkbox I have there, I know I only need it for functionality purpose. I don't need it for design purpose, so I will hide it visually. So what does mean? I'll not do display none, because if I do display none, then my jQuery will not detect it, and also the accessibility reader, screen readers will not detect it. So I want to be in the screen, but not visually. I only need it for functionality. So I'll make sure I give width 0, it doesn't have width, it doesn't have height, and hide the opacity 0, it will not be visible. So if I do this, gone. Okay, but still I'll be able to click on everything, but it's hidden. Okay, now what I will do is I will come to, so we did the checkbox, now I'll come to this slider. So that will be my actual UI. It will hold all this UI here. So I'll come to the slider, I'll copy paste some code quickly so we go through it. So I'm saying my slider will be absolute, that's why I had the first one here, relative, and I'm saying top 0, left 0, right 0, bottom 0. So what we'll do is to make it full width here inside the switch. Okay, and then I'm saying, okay, the background color will be green, transition and transition. That's when you're clicking, you know, that smoothness you see nicely going right and left, that's because of this transition. Okay, so if I save this for now, this is how it will look like, and this square is coming from the before. So each element in HTML, it have something called before and after as well. So you have the main section, then you have after, and you have before. Okay, so what we did here, we used the before, we gave it a position absolute as well. It doesn't have any content, it's mainly for styling purpose. I'm giving it a width 26 pixels, so this 26 pixels on 26 pixels, and I'm saying left is 0, so left of my side I want to be just sorry, not 0, 4 pixels, and bottom also I want to be at the 4 pixels bottom, and the background color will be white, and transition as well, because we want the animation for both things. Okay, so that is the before, what is for, and then we have something I will add here. So I'm saying when my input is checked, then my slider will be green, background green, and also in focus, I want to add some box shadow. So I'm now focusing on it. It will have some box shadow, should not be visible now, but because my monitors have very bad contrast, but you will see some slight box shadow there coming. Okay, so this one when my input is checked, and this one when I'm having a focus there. Okay, now here what they did, they say, okay, when my input is checked, then my slider before, I wanted to translate it, to move it. Okay, that's a transformation. Remember last time we did a rotation for here? Now we're doing translate. X means only horizontally. Okay, move it horizontally. So when I checked it, I want the slider before, which is this square we have now at the moment, I want it to move. Okay, and now we'll do the round shape. Okay, So my slider, I give it a round class extra. So maybe some other time you want to have square. So if you have that extra class, which is round, then border radius is 34 pixels. And also the before one, I want 50% to make it full circle. Save, and there we go. So that's 50% means it will make whatever you have a full circle. And this one's 34 pixels just to make it a lot round, but not fully a ball. Just a lot of round. Okay. So if I do now this, see, and that moving is because of this translation. Just build your CSS. So you achieve this nice, cool toggling button just with CSS. Now, why we need jQuery? We only need jQuery because we said we need this text to change color, like here. See here? It's changing color. So to do that, I need to toggle this class here. So when it's checked, I want it to be this one selected. So this one will be fully black, and the slide will be on to the right, and this one will be light and opposite. So I came to my app.js and I add this little bit few code. So I'm saying, okay, when my toggle button, which is this one, I'll show you. Oh, sorry, that's the live one. Okay, so I'm saying this input, when I click it, that's change function in jQuery. So I'm picking up the element by selector of ID. So I'm saying when this element with this ID, which I know is my input checkbox, is change. So for checkbox is not click, is change. I want this. So this means it's going to this button here, the checkbox. If this is checked, so the checkboxes have a default selectors that you can use to check them. It's called is checked. Okay, so if it is checked, I want to remove class from this one, from the month, but add it to year. But if it is not checked, then I want the monthly label to have the class selected and the yearly to remove it. So I'm just reversing. Okay, and if I save it, I go and click and see my color is changing. Awesome. Okay, so that's for today. So we're able to create our toggle button using CSS mainly, and we use jQuery to add up some functionality for more visualization. So what will happen next is I want you guys to go now by yourself. We did the main things, the hard things. I want you to go and style for me the footer, which is very easy, I guess, at this point, to follow this structure. And again, if you have any questions, let me know and I'll create next video for it. And the challenge number 2 is that I want you guys to try to create these sections here and style them. And again, that's the challenge number 2. If you're not able to do it, just let me know in the comments and I'll create a video for it. Saying that, I remember that I forgot to import the font, so I'll create the next video maybe for that one. Then the challenges will be after that, whenever I get some questions or requests to do so. So stay tuned, look for my next video, will be about the font, and then feel free to jump on the challenges and see how you go with it, and let me know if anything does not make any sense or if you need some guidance. I will be more than happy to help. And if you have better experience, maybe also add it in the section, in the comment section, so people can learn from you as well, so we all learn from each other. So stay tuned and see you in the next video.